Hello everyone, and in this video I'm going to continue to talk about the operating system features and tools, and specifically I'm going to talk about Windows 8. So in this lesson, rather than just talk about Windows 8 or throw a couple pictures up there, let's actually jump in and use the Windows 8. Specifically, we're going to use the Windows 8.1 operating system, and we'll show you the modern interface, we'll show you the start screen, live tiles, all of that changed our world when Windows 8 came out to replace the existing Windows 7 and Windows Vista that people were using, and they tried to get away, another attempt to get away from Windows XP. And this is where we kind of had the fallout between consumers and Microsoft, and those of us that love Microsoft really kind of cringed when Windows 8 came out, but those of us that are acceptable were able to use the operating system with no problems. But there were some features that most of us kind of missed and we wanted back into our operating system. So let's take a look at Windows 8. Alright, now here is the Windows 8 as it would start up. And you can see that this looks a lot different than what the Windows 7 did, what Windows Vista, lots of different Windows predecessors. This one is, when we first look at this, this is called, and it's been given a lot of names, the Windows 8 Modern Interface. It's also been called the Metro UI or Metro User Interface. And you can see that it presents the start screen to us as the user in a much different fashion. Now the big difference here are all of these live tiles are actually just tiles. Not all of them are live. We'll just call them tiles. And these represent a lean app or a lean application. Some of these are live. You can see that this one keeps changing. This goes to our Windows Store to be able to make purchases or download different applications, music, videos, anything that we need for our machine here. We also have, like, this is a live tile. This is just giving me different sports feeds and of different news stories that come into feed. We have weather, we have finance, where we could have stocks rolling through here that we are currently invested in. And like I said, these are called live tiles. If we wanted to turn this off, we could simply right click on this and then turn this live tile off. That way, if you're trying to manage network flow and you don't want network resources being used for a live app, you can take care of that, or you can just completely get rid of it. You can uninstall the sports tile. You can, if you want to, if there's something on here you want to use and use it all the time, let's say Skype. Let's say we were going to use Skype. It's something we're going to use every day for chatting with our colleagues or friends, or we're a remote worker and we want to use that. We could right click on this and pin this to our taskbar, but we don't really like this look here because this is actually our start menu. So, or you can call it a start screen. If we want to use a more common look, we could switch to that user interface that we're used to, and we could have that pinned to our taskbar. So I will go ahead and just click pin to taskbar now. And when we get to it, we'll take a look at it. Or better yet, I can just show you now. So try to remember that we pinned Skype, this application, to our taskbar, but we don't see anything here on the start screen. Well, if we go to the top left corner and we hover our mouse there, you'll see we have another tile pop up. Well, that's just like a window on top of a window. If we click that, oh, now we have a user interface that looks more like what we're used to, as we now have our taskbar, our notification area. We see a start button here. That's what we're used to seeing. So it's like Microsoft gave us a whole nother page that we may or may not like. So we can flip back and forth between those. As you can see here on this machine, I have Windows 8.1 Pro installed. If you recall, I went over the different flavors or editions of Windows, and this one is Windows 8.1, which is that free upgrade from Windows 8. But it's the same system screen that I am used to seeing when I was in Windows 7 to find out information about my machine, such as what type of processor I'm using, how much RAM I'm using. And with this, you see 2 gig. This is barely above the minimum. This is a virtual machine, and I'm only allowing 2 gigabytes of RAM to be used for this Windows 8 virtual machine. But you can see, you can give it a name. You can see that this version of Windows is legal. It is activated. So I have a legal version of Windows 8.1 Pro working on my machine. If I wanted to connect to a domain, I would have no problems because I'm using Windows 8.1. But it does include some of the features from the lesser versions of Windows 8. Like it still has the family permissions and protection on it as well. You can see we have our Action Center, we're used to that. We have Windows Update, we're definitely used to that. Our Device Manager, all those tools that we're used to seeing. But because of the different look, it throws us off. We're so used to the Windows desktop that this start screen was just kind of overwhelming at first. Okay, let's take a look at some other features here on our start screen of our Windows 8 modern interface. If we go up here, we will see that this is our area to sign in and out, where we see our user information. Now if we click on this, we can see if there are other people logged in. As you can see, our support from down south, Billy Bob, is signed in. Billy Bob is our tricky technician, but he is signed into this machine as well. You can see that we can jump back and forth. If I want to click on Billy Bob's account, I can click on that and then give any user credentials that are needed if the system is secure as it should be. Since this is a test environment, we really don't have this secured too much, just for demonstration purposes. But you can see I can lock this machine. I can sign out of my user account. I can change what image is shown up here. We also have some other features here we should take a look at. If we look down here at the bottom left, you'll see this arrow that pops up. This is where we click to see all the installed applications that are on this machine. If we click there, now we see apps. This is kind of like the all programs that people were used to seeing from previous versions of the Windows operating system. And we can scroll through here to see what all is installed on our machine. If we want to go somewhere, we can then click on that. If we want to go to this PC, we can click there. If we wanted to use our command prompt, or if we want to include any of these applications on our desktop, we can just right click on those and we can pin those to our taskbar. We can also pin to our start menu using this location here as well. So let's say we really like the snipping tool and we use the snipping tool a lot. If we click on that, we right click on that, we're going to pin that to our start menu, and we simply go back there. As soon as it does it, you see that we now have a tile here on our Windows 8 modern interface that has our clipping tool. We can click on that and we are good to go and ready to use that. We also have our power icon loaded up here in the upper right corner of the start screen. This can be used to shut down or restart our computer. You can see it says power options as we hover over it. If we click on that, here's the options we have: shut down and restart. You might also include, or you can turn on the features in this menu to set the machine to go to sleep or hibernate. So you do have those options as well. Another feature I'll talk about here with our Windows 8 modern interface is located on the top right corner. If you take your mouse all the way up to the top right, and this is where you will find what's called the charm bar. So if we take our mouse all the way up to the right, we hover there, and momentarily you will see the charms bar pop up, or at least you should see the charms bar pop up. And I may not have my mouse up there far enough. There we go. Here is our charms bar. And you can see we have different options that are available to us here on the charms bar. And we have the search, the share charm, start, devices, and setting. And we also, when we click on this, let's just go and click on settings. We have panes that come up. We click on the setting. Here is our settings pane here on our start screen. And if we scroll down through here, and you can get to this charms bar whether you are on the start menu or the start screen, or if you are on the desktop. It's always available to you in that top right corner. And here you can see we can change our volume, we can personalize our machine, we can work with our tiles, we can bring up the help menu. We have the power button here as well. Lots of options, any notifications. We can go to change our PC settings. A lot available here on our settings pane here on the start screen. Another feature I like that was introduced into Windows 8 is you can see we have the search button here. You can do it here, and we can just click that and we'll see we have a search pane that pops up here, and we can search for applications. Let's say we wanted to open up, we'll just use the snipping tool. We'll type snip, and there it is. We can click on that, and then we will be brought to our application, brought to the front, and we can now use that. So the search feature is a great tool for us to have access to. If we wanted any of our applications, wherever we're at, we can just search for it right away using the search pane. With Windows 8, we were missing our start button features, our start menu features. With Windows 8.1, they gave us a little bit more back, and we can always get back to our desktop or our start screen using the Windows tile here to hop back and forth, or you might even hear it called the desktop tile, but you can see we can jump back and forth. Even when we are on our start screen here, if we go down and just kind of hover near the bottom, you will usually see that pop up. Bottom left corner, go there. There is that desktop tile or start tile, whatever you want to call it. Click on it and you can jump back and forth. If you are going to use your charms bar, you can go up to the top right corner, go down there. There is the start tile. Click on it. We're back to where we were. Or you can just simply click the Windows icon on your keyboard if you have that available, which you should, and you can just jump back and forth as easy as just clicking the button. Let's take a look at our Windows 8 desktop. Besides having the start icon or desktop icon or tile, whatever you want to call it, we have other options we're used to as well. Standard comes the browser, our internet browser known as Internet Explorer. And depending on what version you have, you can update that accordingly. We also have what is called File Explorer, as we introduced it in Windows 8. In previous versions, you would have known this as Windows Explorer. We have a tile or taskbar icon to get to the Windows Store. I will click that real quick just so you can see. As that application opens, it takes us to the store, and we can search for many different things. Lots of different categories. As an example, we could click on news and weather, and we will see different applications that we can use. Some may be associated with a cost. If we wanted NBC News, we could click on that, and then we could install that to our machine if we wanted it. If there was a cost, obviously we'd have to associate some type of payment to our Microsoft Store for that to be able to charge anything that we make some type of purchase with. But we're not going to do that. Another thing I want to introduce here with Windows 8.1 that we did not have with Windows 8, before we would have to close these, it was kind of quirky. We'd have to go to the top right corner. Then when we would see what was open, we could right click on that and close it. But that was the only way we could do it. There was different ways you could close applications, and it was kind of a bear, and it was one of those problems we did not like with Windows 8 when it was introduced. But with the Windows 8.1 upgrade, if we go to the top, now we have the close and minimize buttons that we're used to seeing. So now we can close the application and we are back to our desktop. So that was a great addition back into our operating system. Alright, if we continue to look through here, as I said, we have our taskbar that we love and like to use. We have at the top, of course, we have our recycle bin. Make sure as a technician, this is one of those places you check, especially as you're troubleshooting a slow startup on a machine when someone's logging in. It's not uncommon to find that this recycle bin is full of a lot of information. You definitely want to make sure you keep that cleared out, because that's part of your startup profile. As your profile is loading on the operating system, if you have gigs of data in there, it's going to be a slower startup for your profile. Make sure that you keep that clear. If you come across desktops that have lots of folders or lots of actual files and not shortcuts, make sure to educate your users to not put files and folders on their desktop, because that too causes a slow startup because of the profile size, and it's just a bad practice. Especially if you're in a corporate environment and you are backing up like user document on their machine, you're not backing up the startup screen, the desktop. You're not going to back that up. So if we are redirecting files that are stored to like documents or let's say even my videos, if they keep the stuff there but they make a shortcut on the desktop, let's just say new shortcut, then they point that to a file. Let's just say we are going to point something to, I don't even know if I have any documents, but we'll just say, let's take a look at documents, and we could just click there. We'll just make that a shortcut, and we'll just call it documents. That is a very small file size compared to a whole folder. If you look at that, 4 kilobytes, that is nothing. So if someone has 12 gig of data in this document and they've got the whole folder created here, you can tell that's a lot more information to be able to have it start up. If you're going to delete, you can delete in different ways. You can click on something, hit delete. It's going to go to recycle bin. I am a little different. I like to permanently delete. I've never been bitten by this yet, but it can happen. And that way, if I permanently delete, you see that nothing goes to the recycle bin, so I know it's gone from there, and I'm not going to have to worry about going in and right-clicking and emptying my recycle bin. Now, with Windows 8.1, we do have our quick launch menu, and to do that, you go down here to the Smart tile or Start tile. Right-click on that, and there is our quick launch menu, and you can change that accordingly. You can see how extremely important this is. Programs and features, we use that a lot. We're troubleshooting, we go to our event viewer, we use that a lot. Device manager, we want to check on our different parts of our machine. We want to make sure that our drivers are updated, or there's a problem and we want to get there, we can do device manager. Definitely, we want to check our network connection, see if there's an issue. We're going to add a hard drive, and we want to allow that to be part of, just to span over and to use that as like an extended drive. Computer management, we use that. Our command prompt and administrative level command prompt, we're always using that. Task manager for troubleshooting. And there is a little difference with the task manager with Windows 8.1. If we bring that up, you see that this looks a lot different. We're just seeing a couple things that we know are running. Much different than the Windows 7 and Windows XP, Windows Vista. When the task manager was ran, you saw everything, all the processes. We want to get to that view, we just click more details, and now we can see here are all of our processes running. We can check the performance of our CPU, our memory that's running. We can click on memory, and we can see that out of our 2 gig of RAM that we know we have, 1.1 of that's available because we are currently using 885 megabytes of that 2 gigabytes of RAM. We can check our disk utilization, see whether we're using a hard drive. Hopefully not. We're hopefully using a solid state drive, but we can check how that is functioning. We can check our Ethernet connection if we are plugged in for an Ethernet connection. We can check history, our startup procedures. You can see that it says there are no items to display for the startup of this machine. What users and what's being, how much of our machine is dedicated to users and what users might be running. Details. We can stop things here. We can stop the executables. We can do our troubleshooting here. And if we come across here and we see one that says like ddd.exe, pretty good chance that that's a virus and we want to get rid of that. So we would click on it in the task, get rid of it. Our services, we can check these as well. We can see if like our machine is, we can easily alphabetize that, change the ascending or descending order of that. Let's say we want to go down here to our Windows ones and see what's running. We can see what all is running here. We might need to stop Windows Update. We can stop that here. You can click on one. You can see there. We can open services. That will take us to what we're used to seeing to be able to manage our services. So that let's say we go down to Windows Update. If we look for that, there's Windows Update. And say it's running. We don't really want it running because we're trying to do something, so it's using a lot of resources. We can stop that service. We can change how that starts up. We can go to properties. We can change this to not be manual. We want it we want it to be automatic, or we want to disable it permanently in case it's like an updater such as like Adobe, which is always updating and takes a lot of our resources, and we're like, oh, it's running right now, we don't want it to, the updater to be running, we could disable that. So we have a lot of functionality with our new task manager. So we can close that now here, but you can see the advantages of that. If we look at our quick launch toolbar again here, you'll see that here is another way that we can shut down our machine or sign out of our machine. So another way we can do it, and then yet another way we can go to our desktop if we just want to go there. If we were in our start screen here and we go down to the bottom right corner of our machine and we right click on that, we want to go back to our desktop. Now we're back. Lots of different ways we can jump around. As usual with Windows, we have multiple ways of doing multiple operations, which we find great. Different shortcuts. I won't go into everything, but that's a general overview of our Windows 8 user interface and our desktop and our start screen. If as a technician you're troubleshooting a machine and you're wanting to check on that, you can always use this little shortcut that we're used to using, Windows 7. You can see that File Explorer looks just like it always has. We can right click on here, go to our system menu here, and take a look at our machine here, see everything. If you are wanting to troubleshoot or make any changes, you can change settings here. If you're getting ready to join a domain, you could go here and change that. If for whatever reason that you thought that maybe you did an upgrade and you're like, oh, why is this still running slow? I should have 16 gig of RAM on this machine. But then you go in here to your system info and you only see 2 gig of RAM. Then there's a problem. Now you know that you need to shut the machine down. Take a look. See if the new RAM got fully seated. Maybe you've just got the wrong RAM. Maybe there's all kinds of different options when it comes to RAM troubleshooting. But this is a great place for doing that. We have a lot of the same features that we're used to in previous versions, and you can see that this is definitely one of those. Now if you're an old school technician like myself and you want to go into your system window or your system information window to be able to see a little bit deeper information about your system, so you want to use the old system information utility, you can still do that. If you remember, I said you can go down here and right click on this to get to your quick launch. You'll see we still have run here, or you can still use the shortcut of Windows R to bring that up. You can type in msinfo32.exe, and there's our system information window that we are used to seeing to be able to look at the different pieces of information for knowing more about our system, knowing if I don't know why I clicked on modem. If you wanted to find out more about specific things with your machine, like you wanted to see how your hard drives are doing, since this is a virtual machine, hopefully when I pulled that up, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's only 25 or 26 gigs, 25 gigs, and there's only 16.55 gigs. This is a virtual machine. That's why everything is set so low. I don't anticipate putting much on this machine. But if you were troubleshooting, you might go in here and like, oh, I thought this was supposed to have 2 hard drives, and then you see it only has 1. Now you know to look in a little bit deeper and keep looking around, seeing what's going on. Oh, I have 2 partitions, but I've only got 1 hard drive. There is an issue. It is set up for the standard 512 megabyte sectors. Okay, here is information about my partition sizes and all of that information that I might need. And if we were doing the basic troubleshooting of, hey, where's my other hard drive, then maybe we need, when we check that, we're like, oh, okay, I should probably go into disk management. I forgot to set that up. Another feature we're all definitely used to using is our control panel. We can still get to that. Some ways easier than others. You can use whatever shortcut you're used to using. I like using the quick launch here, so I'm just going to click on control panel there, and now I can go in and use all the features that I want to, such as, let's say I want to go to the action center, I can do that. Anything I need to do that I've done before, I still have that capability. As you can see, I can still change my view here in control panel from category view to our icon view, and there's my action center as I was mentioning. I can go there, and now I can see if there are any security issues, any maintenance issues, anything I need to be aware of, any actions I need to take. And as you can see, I just have not scanned with the Windows Defender on this machine lately, so I can do that, and now it will run the Windows Defender utility to check for any type of known viruses or any type of issues that might pop up with that scan. So everything I need to use is pretty much here. We just have a different look. I still have the ability to create a Windows work group where each computer maintains a list of the users and the rights on that particular computer. Then the computer allows the user on the network to access its local resources based on the rights the person's been given. I also have the ability for a home group where each computer shares its files, its folders, any hardware such as printers, its libraries with other computers that are also part of that home group. Now, a home group provides less security than a work group because any of the users of a computer in the home group can access those resources. So I can still do that here on Windows 8. That was not taken away from me. Speaking of the network, as you can see here, clicked on that. I now have my networks pane. If I had wireless turned on for a machine, those wireless networks would show up here that I could then connect to one. I could select it to connect automatically or not. So same things we're used to seeing. This is in the Windows 8. It's just a different looking view. So hopefully nothing scares you about Windows 8, especially here with the update with Windows 8.1. Now I will end this lecture on talking about user counts and how we do that. Very simple. If you've done it in Windows 7, you've already done it here. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go to my control panel, and then I'm going to go down here to users, user accounts. Now I can create other accounts. If I want to manage another account, I can do that. If I want to change the account type of my own or change my name, I can do that. Let's just say I'm going to click manage user accounts. I want to add a new user. It automatically pulls up my PC settings, and now I can set up a user account. Let's say I'm going to add an account. It's going to be another local account. If I have and want to take advantage of using a Microsoft account where I can go and sign on another device and have the same settings and like browser history and my favorites, stuff like that, I can do that here. You can see they can sync wherever you're at. We'll sync the information. Microsoft is saying, hey, let us store it for you wherever you're at. We want you to feel like you're at your own machine. Sit down, sign in with your Microsoft account, and we'll take care of that for you. Let's say I don't have that. I just want to set up local accounts. So I don't have that. I'm going to sign up without a Microsoft account. Now I have the ability to create a local account. And now a domain account is completely different, but I'm just going to use a local account. Now I can create a name. Let's say this is our new guy, and we set up a password of it's a secret, and I can do it there. I can do a password hint. There you go. Hit next and the account's created. As I said, this does have some of those features from the lower versions, as you can see, because this is set up as a local account, not on domain. Is this a child's account? Turn on family safety to get reports of their PC use. Uh-oh, we can spy on children if we want. If you're a parent, this is a great feature. That way you can make sure that your children are being safe. This is a work computer, so we're not going to be worried about that, but we can still use it if we want. So we click finish, and new guy has been added and can now log into this machine as a local user. As a reminder, and I've said this in other videos, when you are setting up a new machine, it is always best practice to have a local admin account as well as a network admin account on the machine. If the network goes down and you got to troubleshoot a machine, well, if it can't match your credentials with your server for Active Directory, then you need that local account to be able to get onto that machine and see what's going on there to be able to troubleshoot and fix that. That's pretty much it for Windows 8. We'll take it back to I'll show you to close this now. We can just wait for that drop down, close that, and close what I'm working on here. Go back to our start screen. Anyway, everything looks like it is still active. We've got different news coming in, sports, whatever we want. We can click on an active tile and that will launch the application, and then we can use whatever pops up for the specific application that we're using. You can see here this is going to give me from Bing. This is using Bing Sports, and then I can scroll through the different information that comes in this, kind of like reading the newspaper, only digitally and much easier. Probably a little bit better print too, just for sheer digital quality. In IT, we love everything in ones and zeros, right? Well, that is it for talking about Windows 8. I know that was a lot of information, but hopefully you found the information helpful. If you've never seen Windows 8, hopefully you feel a bit more comfortable with it now. Hopefully you will go in, maybe set up your own virtual machine and get a Windows 8 ISO to be able to put on there, whether you're using VMware Player, whether you're using a product from Oracle VirtualBox, whatever the case may be. Hopefully you will get it, work with it, get comfortable with it, learn some of those features, because you will definitely need to know some of those features when you are taking your A+ certification exam. Thank you everyone for following along. I know it was a long video, but there was a lot of information to be able to cover so that you're a little bit more comfortable with Windows 8 operating system, specifically the Windows 8.1 update upgrade. Thank you everyone. Thanks for following along. Good luck in your continued studies for your A+ certification and being the best IT technician that you can be.